Welcome one, welcome all to the greatest show of them all. It is the NFC East Mixtape, presented to you as always by the 4SB Nation, NFC East blog, podcast networks, whatever you want to call them. Blogging the boys for Dallas Cowboys coverage, Bleeding Green Nation for Philadelphia Eagles, Hogs Haven for the Washington Commanders, and Big Blue View for the New York Football Giants. You can watch this show on the Bleeding Green Nation YouTube channel or the blog and the boys YouTube channel. Obviously, we have a lot to get to. I say we. He is Brandon Lee Gowton from BGN. I am RJ Ochoa from BTB. BLG, I say this sincerely. You're a great friend of mine. It's great to be in your company.
No, it's not. It's going to be this podcast is not going to be fun, RJ. It's not going to be a fun off season for the Dallas Cowboys, who once again did not even make the NFC Championship Game. Didn't even make it.
Look, there's nothing you can say that can hurt me or any Cowboys fan. Like our pain and our wounds are established and baked over by the team itself. So all the failure things that you want to propose. I know you have a little graph thing or whatever chart thing or something you want to read. You're not you're preaching to the choir here as far as I'm concerned.
Dallas played in the NFC Championship Game last on January 21st, 1996. Are
you doing the Jalen Hurts birthday thing?
Jalen Hurts was born on August 7th, 1998. Baby Hurts grew up, learned how to play football, went to college, squatted 600 pounds, graduated, got drafted by the Eagles, and made it to the NFC Championship Game before Dallas went back. Shout out to 2008 Phils on Twitter who tweeted that.
See, that's a funny one, but I feel like I've come up with better ones over the years. John Elway, when the Cowboys last won a Super Bowl or appeared in an NFC title game, had never won a Super Bowl of any kind. He would go on to win 2, sat out the mandatory period after retirement, was enshrined into the Hall of Fame, began a whole new profession as far as football, management, became a general manager, although you can argue some of the loyalty associated with the Broncos, and literally built his own team that won the Super Bowl, which featured, as you love to remind people many times, a prominent player for the Dallas Cowboys in DeMarcus Ware. Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe the best wide receiver in college football, right? His father was drafted the year after the Dallas Cowboys last won the Super Bowl. So he himself, played his entire NFL career, won a Super Bowl, sat out, retired, and now has seen his son blossom into one of the best wide receivers in the country. He will probably be drafted before the Cowboys, obviously. So Marvin Harrison and Marvin Harrison Jr. will both probably be drafted before the Cowboys end the draft. You're playing the hits here, baby.
No.
If you're gonna, you got to come up with something unique. This is the same. Get the VHS tapes out. I'm all for trolling, but let's at least be unique about it. Let's bring in.
Wait, I have one last thing before we bring in our special guest. One last thing,
okay,
and we can get into it probably with our special guest. This hurts more than you're letting on because it's not just that they lost. That you're used to, correct? It's how they lost and why they lost. And
I disagree.
It is the most that they lost, and it's your boy Dak, who you hold so near and dear. And
I disagree because this was the same thing that we saw last year. Look, we'll get into it. I don't want to make our special guest wait any longer. And we said that phrase or we said that line, special guest. That is incredibly appropriate. The most special possible guest that we could ever have. I said, you were my great friend, Brandon. This truly is our wonderful, our perfect friend, Rob Stats Guerrera. Stats, we love you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. I love you too. I'm going to be nice and not point out that the 49ers have been in 6 of the last 12 NFC Championship games with 4 different quarterbacks. I'm not going to bring that up at all.
They've been to 7, I believe, in the Cowboys drought. So you did stop shy of going the full way. I mean, at least you have that. The Niners have no rings to show for that. The Eagles have at least won the Super Bowl stats. I mean, come on, bragging about NFC title game appearances over here.
It is so weird that the 49ers have played for a Super Bowl half the time in the last 12 years, especially for a lot of that. They weren't even good. It's just a weird scenario. When they get to the playoffs, they go to the NFC Championship Game. They haven't lost before the NFC title game since 2002.
It's also weird that we haven't seen the Eagles and 49ers play in the playoffs much, even though they've been to all these championship games. I think it's only happened twice ever. That's crazy.
Wow.
They've never, I think they're their peaks have never coincided really.
I have to say, and look, I'm obviously sad about the Cowboys season ending. I wore my Houston Astros World Series championship t-shirt here because they beat both of your teams on the way to that title. And this is all I have. This is my copium. So I'm taking it all every second that I can. That being said, these are the two best teams that are going to be in the NFC title game. I'm not above saying that. These are the two best coaches. I'm certainly not above saying that in the NFC. I have said many times that Nick Sirianni is a great football coach. Anything else, though, is, I think, subject to interpretation. I would be lying if I said I was not rooting for the San Francisco 49ers. A big reason for that is I'm rooting for my friend Rob Stats, Guerrera. Stats, the YouTube channel that you had your wonderful post-game show on. What is the handle specifically? Is it Stats on Fire? I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, at Stats on Fire. That is it. So
okay,
you can
Stats
find
on
me
Fire
everywhere.
on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. He is a one-man marching band. Rob Stats Guerrera, the OG.
Wow. I feel like you're being really nice to me now because the Cowboys lost.
I mean, we have to, like, you kind of represent the middle of the Venn diagram, I think, here, Stats, right? Like, we know, like, because we kind of have to talk Cowboys Niners and then segue into like Eagles Niners. No offense to the Giants, but it's kind of insignificant for this episode of the NFC East Mixtape.
I want to touch on the Giants. We're still going to touch on the Giants and the Commanders.
Okay, it can happen at the very end. The Giants had the worst showing of any team in a playoff game so far.
That Giants team, who did they beat the week before?
Oh, that's true. Well, I think the Vikings were more competitive against the Giants than the Giants were against the Eagles.
I'm just saying, like, how pathetic is it that the Vikings lost to that team at home?
Okay. All right. Man, I really wanted to see a Vikings. I would, if the Vikings had beaten the Eagles in the NFC title game, it would have been, some great jubilee for me. Stats, Brandon experienced the highest level of joy that he can experience. We talked about that a few weeks ago because he said he takes more joy in the Cowboys losing than he does the Eagles winning. So even though the Eagles advanced to the NFC title game on Saturday night,
hold on. Let me give you some more context.
He established a higher level of emotion. Those were your words. Stats heard them.
First of all, let me give you more context on that. First of all, you have to understand my specific nature of my job is that when I'm working an Eagles game, I am working and I have a billion things to do after they win. So yeah, it's nice and cool, but also I do like 50 things. Whereas when I'm sitting back and watching the Cowboys lose, it's just fun. I get to enjoy it. I don't have to like type 50 things and write an article and message 50 people and text every, like it's fun. I like it, sure. But there's also this just great feeling of just getting to enjoy it all. So that's part of it.
How did you feel the Cowboys played on Sunday afternoon?
On defense, they were incredible. They were as advertised. They were better than I thought they were. I did not realize how fast they were going to get around the edge from both sides. It was ridiculous. But on offense, they stunk. They stunk. And don't give me Tony Pollard getting hurt because he played for basically the first half and did nothing for the most part.
I agree with you.
And the 49ers beat the Cowboys last year without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner for a half, and the Cowboys did have Tony Pollard. So I'm not buying that excuse that, he would have totally changed the outcome of the game.
Have you really seen this? Like, has anybody presented that to you? Like, or because like it sounds like a straw man argument to me. Like, I don't know any Cowboys fan who's like, oh man, if Pollard hadn't gotten hurt, it was ours. Like, I truly don't know.
No, but I'm preemptively smacking that argument down. Because it drives me nuts, even though I may be the only one making it.
I tweeted this, and Stats responded to it. I don't know if you agree, Brandon. So like the game is lost on the shoulders of Dak Prescott. Like there's no in fact, I said this many times on our shows and stuff. Like there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. Like that is a truth that has to be faced. I don't know that I would have put all of last year's playoff loss on Dak, but I think you certainly like if you're not putting 100%, like we're talking like the bare minimum here is 95%. The two moments or sequences that were most disappointing, I thought, was the end of the first half. So I would have kicked the field goal. I tweeted this on, I think it was 4th and 4. And obviously there was the Brett Maher thing and like it was super dramatic and Trent Williams was bullying him, whatever. Stats, I know you enjoyed that. But I would have kicked that field goal. And I'm not going to play the what if, like if they had attempted that field goal, maybe Pollard doesn't get hurt, but fine. They decide not to kick it. And I thought the Dak run for the first down, that truly felt like, holy crap, like they might do this. It felt like their time. And then that interception at the end of the first half, and obviously the Niners get that field goal off of its stats. Like that was like, it felt inevitable that Dallas was going to score. So even if you call it a field goal, even understanding the Brett Maher thing, like that was a 6-point swing in a game they lost by 7. And so then at the very end of the game, you only need, a field goal to win as opposed to a touchdown to tie. And I thought the worst moment of football that Dak has played in a very long time, Stats, was when they got the ball with 3 minutes left. You have to go the length of the field, sure, but you get a touchdown. And we were all kind of like, they score, they're going to go for 2, whatever. You get a touchdown here, and it's your destiny, it's your legacy, et cetera, et cetera. Not only did they not do that, they didn't gain a single yard. They didn't have a single positive offensive play. So literally turtling up in the highest leverage moment possible.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and a moment, I know I've like set the stage for you several times, Stats, but like a moment that's going to get a little bit forgotten is he almost took a safety.
That was crazy to me.
How do you
The only reason he didn't take a safety is because Eric Armstead said he was afraid of getting a penalty because he thought Dak was going to throw it away.
That was so wild.
Stupid that's reality. I mean, it's not Armstead's fault. Like, I don't blame him for that, but like, I hate the reality that we live in with this. But like, people will forget that because of the almost pick six, Brandon. People will forget that because of the stupid play at the very end. But like, how do you
quick on that? It was literally not in like, I watched like the condensed highlight version again this morning. So I wanted to like, refresh. Didn't even include that in there. I'm like, are you kidding me? That was a huge like play.
You're saying the safety they didn't include, or the almost pick
they didn't include the almost safety. They didn't even include that in the highlight. So like, that's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that will get lost. And that was such horrible decision making. Like, you should come nowhere near the idea of taking a safety in that moment. Throw the ball away. You know what I mean? Right. Like, and I give him like,
it was like first down. That was been the game.
I give him the bare minimum credit for like evading the tackle that Armstead did not put all of his effort into, Stats. But like, how do you do that? Like, and there are other things, like multiple things could be true. Like Dalton Schultz, dude, you got to fight to get out of bounds. Dalton Schultz, like, do not lazily, approach the catch. Like, it was just a comedy of errors, but Dak is obviously the headliner. Stats, now the stage is yours.
Okay, there's so much there to respond to. I said going into the game, I thought Dak was in his own head a little bit, that he was feeling the pressure of the moment. He gave an interview with Fox where he said he rewatched the post-game presser from last year's game this week. Like, dude. Okay. You're making too much out of this. And I felt like he played like it. The first interception to Diamador Lenore, like, what are you doing? And you're right. The sequence before halftime was huge, especially RJ. I don't know if you saw this. This drove me nuts about Kyle Shanahan. He admitted he wasn't trying to score on their final drive of the first half. He said all he wanted, his literal quote was, "We liked the score where it was." They were not trying to score on that possession, and then they hit Juwan Jennings on that big over route, and they eventually got into field goal range and kicked a field goal. They weren't even trying to score, which is an absurd philosophy.
And it was a tie game, right? Like, he liked the score at a tie game.
It was never lead, which is absurd because
you like that score.
He freaks out when the other team gets the ball first in the third quarter. And here's why it was even a worse decision, let alone you just literally stop trying to score. Because of what happened in the second half, the Niners didn't touch the ball in the second half until about 9 minutes to go in the third quarter because Dallas got the ball first. They punted, and that was the Ray McLeod fumble. Right. So you were content to sit in a 6-6 game, and then you don't even get the ball back to halfway in the middle of the third quarter. It was absurd by Kyle Shanahan. He got bailed out by the defense, the interception, and, of course, the field goal at the end of the first half.
BLG, before you go, just very quickly, like I'm saying, Dak is the face of the failure on Sunday afternoon. There's, again, I'm not gonna dispute that in any way, shape, or form, but there are tentacles of the failure as well. Like the first interception, I mean, like the bet that the Cowboys made, and we have obviously all talked about this, that completely imploded, was the Amari Cooper bet. Like, fine, you want to trade him away, but like they made a bet on Michael Gallup. They made a bet that he was going to be like the Robin to CeeDee Lamb was Batman, to be very clear. I think we all agree. Like, he had an incredible game, but like, big shock, like one alpha receiver is not enough. Like, look at everybody else that's left in the NFL right now. So Michael Gallup not like finishing the route or whatever you want to call it, like that was a part of that first interception. Again, it's on Dak. Stats, you mentioned the fumble. Okay, Cowboys, you get down near the goal line. You have a chance to take this game, and Kellen Moore turtles up. Okay, so that's on Kellen, but again, it's all ultimately on Dak. It was just like you said it at the top, Brandon. It was kind of the worst possible way you could fail, because now you do have to face a reckoning that there's like people can get off and pop off all their jokes and other silly things because they're true. And Michael Irvin said something like this the day that we're recording. And Stats, I do the like press conference thing is weird. Like, I have no like context or
like
explanation
Russ
for that
stuff right there.
Well, I think it's that like you can act like the drought doesn't hang over you, and it's not all like Dak's fault, right, or McCarthy's fault, but it is there now. Like, you're acknowledging it. Like, you're acknowledging that you're fighting ghosts in addition to like fighting the present.
All right, so I don't think you have the graphic right because I couldn't get it to you in the right way, RJ.
Oh, I
The
can
comparison
try.
between the
Is it
quarterbacks here.
okay?
So
You can tell us your Tony Romo, Dak Prescott comparison.
yeah,
Like, you
it's
can just
all
audibly
right.
do
The
it.
way to just ruin the show, the theater of
It's
the
super
show,
low
the
hanging
theater of
fruit.
the mind.
You're so much more clever than to like take this.
What are you
low-hanging
talking
fruit.
about? Look at their number stats. If you haven't seen my tweet, look at my tweet and everyone else at Brandon Gowton on Twitter. I did quarterback A, quarterback B. And if you look at the numbers from Tony Romo's first 7 seasons as a starting quarterback, and you look at Dak Prescott's first 7 seasons as a starting
Yeah,
quarterback,
they're both 2-4 in the playoffs. And both
they're
0-3
like,
in the
it
divisional
is
round.
uncanny. They are nearly identical. And then their playoff record success. No, not the right word to use. Playoff track record to this point. Same thing. 6 games played, 2-4 each. 63.4 completion versus 61.6 completion. 7.2 yards per attempt versus 7.1 yards per attempt. 92.3 passer rating for Dak, and then 93 passer rating for Romo. You just got Tony Romo all over again. It's so delicious, and I love it.
I'm
and
not
it's
like
great
disappointed by that. Like that. Like
well, exactly. That's why I love it so much, because Cowboys fans are going to be like, this is who Dak is going to be. He's going to be the guy. Like, actually, he's better. Actually, you just need to get him more of this. Actually, he's underappreciated.
You're fighting a
and part of it.
argument,
Let me talk. Let me talk. Hold on. And part of it is because it comes out of this underdog thing where like Dak was a 4th round pick and Romo's an undrafted free agent. So you get the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to, not saying literally just Carson Wentz, but if you're someone like him who is the number 2 overall pick, there's so much more pressure and negative attention on those kind of players.
The Cowboys quarterbacks don't face any pressure.
Derek Barnett and Josh Sweat, where like Josh Sweat earlier in his career was always seen as a positive, even if he did literally the same thing.
How is the Romo Dak point involving Josh Sweat?
Because like
when
expectations are lower,
dude.
When expectations are lower, you're doing the thing where you're talking into me and people don't like that. So I can let you talk if you want to talk, and I'll stop. But
okay,
if I'm going to talk,
the
I'm
Josh
keep
Sweat
going.
Point, please.
The point is, when expectations are lower, it's like there's this like rush to be like, oh, this is so cool, this is so great, this is this great thing. Dak is Romo. Eagles fans were never scared of Romo, and there's nothing to ever be scared of. These are your guys: Dak Prescott, Tony Romo, Kirk Cousins, losers that you will absolutely love to have around, because you know they're never going to get over the hump. You know it in your bones, and you're just going to root against it, and you're going to act like there is that chance, and it's never going to happen. And I love it. So I want the Cowboys to keep Dak Prescott. I want the Cowboys to keep Mike McCarthy. You might win a division. Great. You might win a playoff game. One playoff game. Great. You're never getting over the hump with them, and I love it. So that's all I got to say.
Wow, there's some rage there.
I don't know why. I mean, like that was coming from a deep place. I mean, maybe a rent-free place, but we'll see. Stats. Do you agree with the diatribe that Brandon went on? I suppose.
I did not realize that Dak and Romo's numbers were that similar. That's eerie, because if you had asked me before we started, I would have said I would rather have Romo than Dak. I think Romo's a better quarterback. I think Tony Romo's the second best quarterback in Cowboys history. I've been on record as saying that. Dak did not play well. And RJ, I know you're going to fight me on this. What did I tell you all season? Mike McCarthy is a potato. And once again, the Cowboys, and credit to Greg Olsen, who was awesome on the broadcast on Sunday. He was all over all the different things the Cowboys did poorly at the end of that game, starting with not rushing onto the field to get the punt off before the 2-minute warning. He nailed that, because the Cowboys let time go off, and then there was 2:05 when the Niners got the ball back, and it basically invited them to throw the ball to George Kittle, which they did for a big first down. He was all over the sideline stuff, how you have to be going forward with all of that. He nailed it. And if Mike McCarthy is not going to run the offense and he's not going to run the defense, you got to be the conductor of the orchestra. You got to be all over those little details. And for the second year in a row at the end of the playoff game against the 49ers, he wasn't.
I will say you missed one thing that Olsen noted that I thought was really astute of him. On the positive side of the 2-minute warning, I think it was first down. And Brock, I don't remember who Brock Purdy completed the pass to, but he threw. And as they were going to commercial, he said, this is why Kyle Shanahan is Kyle Shanahan. You throw the ball because you know you only have a couple of seconds before the 2-minute warning. Like, the clock is going to stop no matter what. Like, right. A lot of teams would be scared and would say, like, let's just run the ball and let's get to the 2-minute warning. But so, again, these are tiny little things. It's part of what makes Greg Olsen very good. I don't know why people don't highlight that. But anyway, yeah, like, again, like, there's nowhere to run or hide. Like, I think, like, sometimes the two of you or other people make it seem like McCarthy, like, 100% sucks. I don't know that either of you think that now. I think that the Cowboys, like, they're trapped in this middle. Like they're trapped in this middle now where they're like kind of good and, you know, really good at times and maybe even like, you know, the hovering around the best sometimes, but they have their worst moments when they're most important. And that happened here. Like McCarthy had handled all of these things for the most part all season long. But when the pressure was highest or whatever like cliche you want to assign to it, he really failed. And you know what? What was my biggest problem? You both know with how they lost last year. It was how big of losers they were, right? Like, oh, it's the refs. Oh, whatever. Like they complained and pointed fingers and everything. McCarthy had not been that guy. And some Cowboys fans are like, whatever about this. But after the game, I'm sure you both saw he pushed or shoved or put his hand in the face of a cameraman. I'm not saying that was like malicious or like the most aggressive thing of all time, but that is a symptom of that same culture. Like, it's like, dude, just like, you lost, you got your ass kicked, like just own it. Instead of like, you know, even if it's like, if you consider it like a 1 on the like aggression scale, it is still a symptom of like, you know, pouting or whatever because you lost.
The camera person didn't even like get in his face either. Like they were kind of off to the side and he almost had to like reach out. Like it wasn't like you were right in his face. He almost like had to go out his way to do that. I think part of the crazy thing, to take it back to Dak for a second, is like Cowboys have to double down on him now because the way his contract is,
they don't have to. But they designed.
Well,
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm just saying they did design it like to be able to restructure starting now, but they do not have to do that.
They don't have to, correct? Yes, but I mean, they probably likely will now have to give him more, or will give him more money. It's just kind of like a weird spot to be in. Obviously, I think, you know, they're going to do it because they're happy with him, but it's just like a weird thing that we might see like a Dak Prescott extension after this finish to his season, or a restructure.
We saw a Kirk one a year ago to your like, you know, rant or whatever. And like I think Dak is it became clear. Not that it wasn't to some people, but it became clear that like right now there's Mahomes and Burrow for me on one level. And I've had to like eat some crow on Josh Allen. And then the next tier right now certainly includes Jalen Hurts. And he's in the middle of writing the chapter that may vault him to that same tier as Mahomes and Burrow, right? Well, obviously, so what happens on Sunday is a big part of that. Then there's this group of quarterbacks that are very good and can certainly thrive with a lot of talent around them or some talent or whatever. I certainly put Dak in that case. I have demoted Josh Allen to that case in my own personal book. I think Aaron Rodgers is still there. Justin Herbert's there. Lamar Jackson's there, right? But like it is very clear, like there was life among the idea stats that Dak could have been on the Mahomes Burrow level. Like we saw it a week ago. We saw it on Monday night. You know what I mean? Like, but like
the sub 500 team.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is like we have like he was wonderful against the mighty Eagles defense on Christmas Eve. So like again, there was some data and some evidence to that idea, but we have learned that okay, Dak, this is now a lot of data that you are not elevating your team when the moment matters the most. You can certainly win, you can certainly have success, but you're going to be part of you're going to have to be part of one of those teams that has the talent around you. And that's why like I don't mean this as a shot to Jalen Hurts, but like Jalen Hurts is masterfully executing everything with all of the talent he has around him. I would say the same thing about Brock Purdy right now. Not that they're the same quarterback or anything, but like Dak is you know, Dak has CeeDee Lamb. And I don't say this like, oh, poor Dak. They took away Amari Cooper and they made it, you know, to where he was going to have to do it this year, and he couldn't stats.
He couldn't do it against the best competition, at least.
Sure.
I mean,
that's fair
too. The Eagles game, you pointed out the Eagles game, and that's fair. But Mahomes, Burrow, especially Burrow, it seems like, Allen, for the most part, they are who they are, regardless of the opponent. And Dak just seems like he has these power outages that just, again, those interceptions were killers. Those were Garoppolo interceptions. That's what used to drive me nuts about Jimmy Garoppolo, was that he would make those, especially the one in the red zone. That is just such a backbreaker, like you have pointed out. And when you're paying that guy $40 million, like BLG said it, as a fan, if I were a fan of a team in the division that wasn't the Cowboys, I would love that. Yes, give that guy $40 million, $45 million. Let's give him. You guys realize
40 is like a bargain for franchise quarterbacks now, right? Like I don't know why 40 has become the number.
That's not the point. It's not about that's not the point. The point is like stick with this guy, pay him premium, relatively money. At least it was premium when they signed him.
So like you're saying you would be more threatened if the Cowboys got rid of Dak this offseason. Like that sounds so silly.
I mean, not literally like at the moment he is gone, because then then you're down to Cooper Rush. No one is saying that. But like in the bigger picture, I would rather them have Dak than, to eventually take a chance on someone who might become better. Sorry, Stats. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Let's just say this. I think this much is clear. I think now what we can say about Dak is he is closer to being a Brock Purdy type quarterback, a guy that needs stuff around him, than a Burrow, Mahomes elevating everybody up.
That's exactly what I meant.
Him, or is it the system?
That's exactly what I meant about it becoming clear. Like that piece that you just described was not fully known. You know, it was like a scratch off, or like the picture wasn't fully. No, it was an assumption, and an assumption like based on biased emotion in your case. Like, but
that's not true. I've said since his rookie year, he had the system
like
there.
Since his rookie year, since he entered the league and he was beating my team, I've been saying this. Like, no, like there were times,
33 outside the division.
We saw. So I mean. And the first interception, I think, is an example of the like he's not Burrow point stats. Like you're trying to force this thing to Michael Gallup. Like Burrow finds a way. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that like as lame as it sounds, but I mean he's again the like 8th or 9th best quarterback on the NFL with the ability to play at a very, very high level if he has the talent around him.
Disappointing if you're a Cowboy fan for sure. You can't get outplayed by Brock Purdy there, and Brock Purdy did not even play a good game.
No, he was begging to give the ball away.
I can't. That's like, I mean, I was stunned, and you both know this, and we'll get to the title game now. But like, I was stunned that the Cowboys generated as many turnovers as they did, and this is going to be something like obviously we talk about all offseason, but like the regression's going to come. Like I know it didn't come this year, but like that is coming. And you know what? Even if it doesn't come, like you just saw what happens if you don't get one. Like they didn't get a single I know they had the fumble recovery on special teams, but like if you're like if you're banking on getting 2 turnovers a game, like you're gonna lose at some point because like you're gonna play a team that's better at like holding the ball or whatever the case. And that happened on Sunday. So it just kind of is what it is. This was a weird game, disappointing, bitter, whatever, but it was weird in a lot of ways too. And so just kind of tough to end the season on that sour note. Stats, do you have a final thought on the divisional round?
Oh, I just think it was weird to see Brock Purdy play against that defense. He was under pressure on roughly 50% of his dropbacks, and I think it's going to be exactly that same way against the Eagles. So it's weird that like it's going to be sort of a continuation for him because I think he really needed probably 2 series to adjust to the speed of the Cowboys to be like, whoa. Because don't forget, he's still a rookie, right? Like, oh, this isn't Iowa State anymore. Oh my God, these guys are way faster than everybody we've played for the last 6 weeks. So I think he's going to be in for more of that against Philadelphia, and it's going to be in Philly. So this is a big test for Brock on Sunday.
Well, in the
Eagles,
context
go ahead, Brandon.
Well, the context of rookie in the championship game is also not very good in terms of he's the 5th rookie quarterback to ever start in a championship game, and everyone else before him is 0-4. They've never won that game. This is, by the way, kind of table setting for like Jonathan Gannon, Eagles defensive coordinator. If you lose to Brock Purdy, this is like unprecedented level of failure. If he has a good game against that, it's true. Their average margin of defeat in those games, by the way, is 10.25 points. There's only one game that was 1 possession. Like these games aren't even close historically. Small sample size, and combined touchdowns 4, combined interceptions 9. Like these rookies do not play well in these just again, historical precedent. It can be different here. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, guaranteed. I'm just saying like this is the precedent.
Who was the last? Was it Joe Flacco?
No, it's literally never happened. Oh, you're saying
no
who went
in the
there?
Title game? Look, yeah, that's rookie in the
and
title.
Sanchez in the same year, I believe, wasn't it?
No. Sanchez was 2 years later then, because Sanchez was 1 year later. Sanchez was in 09.
Right, because one of them would have had to won if it was
right, and Flacco was in 08. And I believe Flacco lost to the Steelers that beat the Cardinals, and Sanchez lost to the Colts.
It was Sanchez in 2009,
right. So Sanchez,
Flacco in 2008, and then Roethlisberger in 2004, and then Sean King in 1999.
Wow. So only one on the NFC side. It's the second NFC.
Correct.
Wow. Look at that. Wow. Holy crap. I guess I'm impartial. This is interesting. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Brandon, with 10 being the like most like holy crap 10. We're gonna lose. Where are you on the panic scale?
Oh wow, just own myself there. Cut that.
Cell phone. Those are rare.
No. 1. I've reached the point where look, I think this is going to be so very odd how The Eagles won 38-7 on the 5th year anniversary of them winning 38-7 against the Vikings. Of course, that was the championship game. Whereas the divisional round against the Atlanta Falcons, who had gone to the Super Bowl the year before and lost to Tom Brady, played the Eagles really tough in Philly. And I think it's going to be that kind of game. I think it's going to be a very tough game that kind of comes down to the wire. But I've reached a point, like I did with that Eagles team during that Super Bowl run, where I can't bet against them. I mean, they look so awesome against the Giants. Jalen Hurts looks healthy. Lane Johnson looks healthy. This looks like the team that they were earlier this season when they were just like having their way with teams. And again, I don't think that's going to be the case with this 49ers team, but I gave you the historical precedent for like Brock Purdy. It's not great. You're playing in Philly. The vibes are, RJ, you said it yourself on the SB Nation NFL show that like the Eagles arguably have like the best vibes right now. I just think there's so many things working in their favor. AJ Brown, let's talk about him for a second. AJ Brown dominated the 49ers last year. And now, stats you can say that was Ambry Thomas and Josh Norman, and it was, but that was a Titans team that didn't have Derrick Henry playing. That was a Titans team that had washed Julio Jones as their second wide receiver, and then the other guy, I forget his name. Like, this is AJ Brown with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders and this Eagles offensive line. I just believe in the trenches here. I believe in it's not even, so sorry to wrap a bow on what I'm trying to say here. When the Eagles beat the Vikings and were going to the Super Bowl, it was instantly like, how are we going to beat Brady and Belichick? It became not about that to me anymore. It's like, this team is so good. I don't care who they play. They're better. They're going to win. I believe in them.
I mean, you have dogged on Jonathan Gannon like all year long. Even last year too, you ripped him to shreds. Now you have no panic whatsoever, like not even a 2 that he's going up against Kyle Shanahan in this offense, which before last week had scored 37 points in 4 straight games.
And the defense, this is the best defense in the NFL.
I just said it's going to be a really close game that comes down to the wire. I didn't say it was going to be.
Well, then how could your panic be a 1 if you're
right.
Like those are
because
I
like think they're going to pull it through because
ideas.
Jalen Hurts gives you that kind of confidence because that's who he's been. He's 15-1 as a starter this year. He's going to come through. He's going to deliver. The one game they didn't win.
What a loser.
Was the Commanders
lost
game.
The game as the starting quarterback
where they turned it over 4 times. A little bit fluky.
They lost to a team that the Niners crushed.
I can't even imagine.
Calls in that game. It was fluky. Like, I'm not really worried. So, okay, that's one game. One game versus the other 15. Which one is more meaningful to you there?
Okay, I can't imagine what it's like to have a team with a quarterback that's lost the game. Man, that's such a weird thing.
The Niners, like, we're not saying, Brandon, that like you should be at a 10. Like, that's like that would be stupid.
I'm not saying you're saying I should be at a 10. I'm telling you, you asked the question. I'm giving you the answer. Yeah, you want me to say a different answer that makes you happier?
No, but we're just questioning the answer and listening and understanding and accepting.
You don't have to like it, but that's the answer.
Do you know how a podcast works? Like, we're having a conversation. Like, that's exactly what we're doing here. So let me lay things as I see them, and then stats. I'm curious for your 1 out of 10. The advantage, I'll do the advantage, at every single area. Quarterback, obviously Philly. The run game, I'd give to San Francisco. The offensive line, I'd give to Philly. The most tight. Dude, how could you don't want to give the run game advantage to San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey?
Eagles
there?
Literally just ran for the second most yards in
I'd give it to Philly
since 2019.
Okay.
It's close. I don't think that's give it to the 49ers, but it's very close.
Well, that's why I gave the advantage to the O-line. And Jalen Hurts is part of if we're you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about the running back group. Yeah. If I'm going off the running back group, but I said
running game.
Okay, no. Now I'm specifying that, to your point, because if we're involving Jalen Hurts, then it's certainly fair. But if we're if the matchup is Christian McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, whatever.
Yes.
The contentious part for me is the skill position group. That is the most difficult thing to kind of figure out. And I think that's true maybe in both title games because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are wonderful. Dallas Goedert is wonderful, and obviously if you involve the running backs, but Debo is terrifying. Brandon Ayuk is terrifying. George Kittle, I feel woke up stats last week, in a different way. He felt like he was a sleeping giant. And obviously, if we're going to involve, Hurts' running game, McCaffrey in the passing game, I don't know what way I'll lean, but whatever way I go, it's 51-49. And it is the tightest thing for me.
George Kittle has caught 23% of his career touchdowns from Brock Purdy. Talk about waking up. That's an absurd statistic.
How is that possible?
I think that the last game against the Cowboys was a really good example for the 49ers offense. You shut down Christian McCaffrey. Awesome. You shut down Debo. Awesome. You shut down Ayuk. Okay. Did you shut down Kittle too? No. Okay. Then we're just going to spam George Kittle for every big pass play that we need. And he ends up with 5 huge catches for 95 yards, including that juggling 30-yard catch, which is going to go down as one of the great plays in 49er playoff history. It was awesome. I was freaking out at the time. But no, if we're comparing, I give the Eagles the edge in the run game. I give the Eagles the edge on the offensive line. I give the Eagles the edge in wide receivers. I give the Niners the edge at tight end. And that's probably it on the offensive side of the ball. George Kittle's better than Dallas Goedert. Don't make that face.
I give him the edge
really
at play
good,
caller
man.
too.
Yes.
If we're talking like who's pulling the strings, I mean, Kyle Shanahan's the best in the business.
On the flip
it's
side,
not close between Kittle and Goddard. Goddard is really good, but it is not close. Kittle is on. Kittle is in
service to Dallas Goedert.
Well, give me the argument for Goddard.
I mean, I think it's close. I'll give you Kittle, but like I don't think. Well, Goddard's. Would you say Goddard's a top 5 tight end? Yes or no?
Yes, but there's a
then
difference.
Like they're both really good.
No, but that's
anyway,
like saying,
that's not. I don't want to die in the sale. That's not the point. I'm not. I don't want to defend this. I think what's interesting about this matchup is that you definitely can see like, okay, where the 49ers really, what area of the field can they take advantage of? It's the middle, because I think you don't want to go after Darius Slay and James Bradbury right now. You want to go after TJ Edwards and the safeties and Heiser White. You want to attack the middle of the field. So that is definitely an area of concern for me. On the flip side, I look at the 49ers defense. And, what is the area you don't want to attack there? It's the middle of the field with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw and what they have going on there, Hufanga, versus where they probably a little bit more vulnerable on the outside, where the 49ers have given up the 6th most receiving yards to wide receivers this season. What do the Eagles have on the outside? They have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And also, what was a big criticism of Jalen Hurts going into this year? He never throws over the middle. He can only throw outside. Well, maybe that's good in this matchup. He certainly got better at throwing over the middle, but he likes naturally to go to the outside.
I'm happy for you that like you're enjoying this. Truly, like I really am. But like this is the most like into it I've seen you maybe like since we've been friends. I don't know if Stats would agree with that, but I mean it's an NFC title game, so you should be.
Yeah,
so
you're
like
on the eve of
Super
Bowl.
I don't know what that's like, but I'm aware of what it is like in theory at the very least. So like you kind of brought it up, Brandon. Defensively, like the corners, like it is kind of like chalk, right? Like corners, the advantage goes to Philly. I think if you want to include the safeties, like the middle of the defense certainly goes to San Francisco. I do feel like Fred Warner was the one who kind of woke up. Not that he was asleep, but it just felt like all of a sudden this was like George Kittle, Fred Warner against the Cowboys. Again, not all of a sudden that they're like bad players, but like it felt like that's who, like these are both teams that like every week it's like they have different superstars show up and play. And last week was like Kittle and Warner's turn. The defensive line is, I think as a whole, you got to give it to Philly, but I would, if I have to pick one person, it's Nick Bosa. And so like, you just don't know like which is going to win out.
Especially Bosa going up against, sorry to cut you off, Stats, Lane, who, is still playing through this groin injury. Like, that's a big question mark. It's another big question mark. But yeah, it is weird how it's like Bosa with 18.5 sacks in the regular season, at least. And then the next closest is 6? Like, huge drop off where the Eagles have Hassan Reddick, who has been awesome and just crushing right now. And then they have 3 other players with double-digit sacks.
That's the scary thing for when the Niners are on offense. I'm terrified that Purdy's just going to be under pressure every play, because I know people think the Niners offensive line is good, but it's really not. It's Trent Williams and then like a bunch of guys that can be pretty sketchy.
Right.
But the thing that worries me most about the Eagles offense is not Jalen Hurts running, even though that is a threat. It's Jalen Hurts passing. The 49ers have given up 8 plays of 50 yards or more. That is the most in the league. And we saw it again with the Cowboys. I don't know why.
I don't want to cut you off, Stats. Stats called it. We were texting throughout the game. He said there's going to be a big shot. Like the Cowboys are going to hit deep. And then sure enough, the Dak to CeeDee Lamb play happened.
I don't know why Dak didn't do that more, because he could have had it. The Niners are not good at the corner position. Even Charvarius Ward, who was like locking it down early in the year. I don't know if he's banged up or what, but his play has fallen off. They are not good at making plays on the ball outside of Ward. So like a lot of times Diamador Lenore will be in perfect position and the guy just mosses him. Like, I'm terrified of that. The only thing that I will say in defense of the Niners is it's been really weird, but if you go back and look against them, one receiver for the other team will absolutely go off, whether it's Cooper Kupp or CeeDee Lamb or Terry McLaurin, whoever you want to pick. And it seemingly hasn't mattered. They still lock the other team down, which is really weird. The problem is the Eagles have two of those guys.
Right.
So the Eagles' deep passing attack is what scares me most in this game from the 49ers defensive perspective.
Stats, I know you have to leave very quickly. So last thing, Brandon has said several times on the mixtape and to you, I'm sure, that if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl this year, it's a failure, right? And I think that's a bit of an overreaction. But so like from both of you, so you can both hear one another as well, in some quicker answers, because Stats does have to leave. Stats, you first. Like how disappointing is it if the Niners lose? Just so like you both know and can make fun of the other, like if your team ends up winning.
If Brock Purdy wasn't starting, it would be massively disappointing. But the fact that it's Brock, third string quarterback, last pick in the draft, rookie, I can't kill the 49ers if they don't beat the team that has been the best team in the league all season long. Will I be disappointed? Of course. You're 60 minutes away from the Super Bowl. That's always going to be just gut-wrenching. But when I look back, I think very shortly after that loss, if it were to happen, I would be able to look back pretty quickly and say, this is an absolutely insane year for the 49ers. I've continued to maintain that to make the Super Bowl, so many things have to go right that are outside of your control.
Yeah.
Injury, health of your players, health of the other team's players, fumble luck, turnover luck, weather, all that stuff. None of that seemingly went right for the 49ers this year, and they're still playing for the Super Bowl. So I'm picking the Eagles to win the game. I'm just spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They were my
good thing Stats has been really good at picks this year.
Yeah, that's true. They were my pick to make the Super Bowl.
You took the 49ers to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, I did. Before the year began, I had Philly. I just think that they are the best team. So yeah, my expectations are not going to be, I'm not going to be just absolutely enraged if the 49ers lose just because of how this year unfolded.
Quick follow-up really quickly, Brandon. If they win,
we can get Stats out of here.
Is it, I know, is it the, just in one word, Stats, if they win, is it one of the more, or the most satisfying Super Bowl appearance, or like whatever point of success? The Niners haven't won the Super Bowl, obviously, since 1994, but like, would this be a more satisfying appearance than 2019 or 2012?
Oh, yeah. This is absurd. The fact that they're even here is just ridiculous. You couldn't even like make it up. If anybody proposed this at the beginning of the year, you'd be like, are you out of your mind? I literally said the sentence, if Brock Purdy has to play at all this year, we don't have to worry about that because the season has gone off the rails.
Right.
And here we are.
All right.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Like that all is well reasoned. I can't really argue with that. You can look at it from the standpoint of they made it to 3 of the 4 last NFC Championship games, and they did not win a Super Bowl. Assuming they lose this game, like that's tough. That weighs on you. As somebody,
we're seeing it weigh on the Bills, like to your point,
yes,
like in a different way,
and specifically Shanahan too. So we're going to talk about like can't get over the hump coaches between what happened in that aforementioned Falcons, Patriots Super Bowl, and then this. It's just like he's really good, but it's that exception or not exception to be the rule at that point that kind of just it creates the doubt in your mind. So I think there is that angle to it, but yeah, certainly from an Eagles perspective it has to be a failure because look how good they are. Look how like you don't blow out teams 38-7 in the divisional round. Like that doesn't happen. That's crazy. That's wild. So and it's the amount of talent they have on the roster. And again, I've talked about it's also the window in terms of might lose both coordinators in theory. They're definitely going to lose some of these key free agents. You just don't, and just having the experience of seeing the Eagles go win a Super Bowl, and then what happened immediately after that. Now, obviously, they were able to pivot 5 years later and get back, but there was, it was a kind of decline each year after that, and things were really bad in 2020. So you have to capitalize on these chances. To Stats' point, getting this luck that you have and making the most of it. What was the original question? I guess.
Like how disappointing it would be if you lost.
Okay, then it'd be very disappointing.
But to be fair, I said your feelings were kind of well known that it would be a failure. So,
okay.
But so like, is there any way like Stats kind of has the Brock Purdy thing? Is there any, and he's going to leave, but like any contextual piece that would change your answer? Like if this, then maybe it's not a total failure if they lost on Sunday.
I mean, if there's like a week, like if the Eagles lose on a 70-yard field goal, then like, okay, well, that was kind of insane. Right. You can't really predict. You can't really do too much.
The running back lines up at center and they pull off like a Hail Mary.
By the way,
play, right?
We didn't really talk about that, which is kind of crazy. I really think that's getting too much play, almost because it's just like the game was over. They were never going to win.
That's just got to leave. Like, answer the question so he can.
Anyway, Last thing I want to say is that I think to the Shanahan point, one thing I meant to mention in there is like I think that's another big mismatch we have to watch here. If you just go by like expected points added or whatever, like win probability, sorry, WPA, not EPA per play, like Shanahan's like 14th in the league on this chart that I'm looking at, and Sirianni's at 1, but it's also like 7 times as much, like in terms of a coach who's going to be aggressive, who's not going to settle for these mistakes. Like it's one thing to lose, but at least I think from my end, I will know probably Nick Sirianni went balls to the wall to do it. Whereas with Shanahan, you might be like kicking yourself. Well, what if we did go for it on that 4th down? I think that might be a little bit harder to live with.
Prepare for some
Stats
texts on Sunday.
Stats, we love you. On Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, at Stats on Fire, the legendary now and forever Rob Stats Guerrera.
Love you guys too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy.
Go Niners. That's what we were looking for. I thought he was going to say it, so he didn't. But that is Rob Stats Guerrera. I know. I don't know if he picked the Eagles because like you've done that like an emotional hedge, right? Because like either way now, Stats wins, right? Like Eagles win. He's like, well,
he doesn't really do that though. I do that.
I know he doesn't, but like it is a BLG thing, right? Like, oh, if the Eagles win, hey, my pick was right. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. Listen to my picks, whatever. But if he's wrong, it's like, well, I'm wrong.
I mean, because especially he came off a week where he was like, 49ers are going to win this game. He felt super confident. That's basically how I feel. Like I'm in his spot now of last week. It's turned out to be
so
correct for him.
We can kind of like wrap up a few Cowboys points. I have an Eagles point I want to make shortly, and then we can kind of touch on the Giants before we get out of here. A little bit of a different mixtape. Well, hang on. I'm just kind of setting the stage for everybody. But before I do that, apologies to Brandon for interrupting. Got a little bit heated a while ago. Having Stats Brandon and I are really fortunate to be able to do this, and Stats is a really good friend of ours. And so like getting to talk to him again and getting to talk football with him just felt really good. Felt really nice.
Natural, if you will. It's just natural.
Did you ever?
Have you ever heard what? Sorry, last thing. This is how we talk to each other. Like this isn't.
I agree.
Like,
yeah,
like when we text each other in the text thread. Like it's the same stuff. It's not like we're putting on like an act.
It sounds like this is a cliche, like in our world now, where like podcasts, like everybody has a podcast, but it's like all we really do is just like hit record. That's to your point. Like this is exactly kind of the way it goes. But on your subject of natural, did you know that I've always thought so? People call Matt Ryan Matty Ice. Rich Eisen has tried to call him the Mattrel.
No, Matty Ice was terrible, and that's even worse.
I agree. So my Eagles point is like I don't want to say this because I want to just come in. No. Like I thought about coming in here and pulling a Brandon from last year and being like the Eagles will win the Super Bowl, but like I mean this sincerely. Like this has been a really fun season of the mixtape. We're 2 seasons in, right? And I would say this one's been certainly for you more fun than last year, but like the audience has grown, like the connective tissue, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
So I am rooting for the Eagles to lose. Let me be very clear, but I know how fast emotions can swing if your team loses. All right.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen if you're an Eagles fan, right? Like this team has kicked ass, like, and this team has a very promising future. Like, I don't know, like the term window is so weird to use in the NFL right now. Like we look at the Niners or the Bills, like we talked about, right? Like you don't know when the window is going to slam shut or when it's going to like get kicked open, like the Bengals. So like, don't let, if the Eagles lose on Sunday, don't let that like ruin it for you. Like this was an incredible season for the Eagles, whether it continues on Sunday afternoon or not.
I did say this like going into the playoffs, the end of the regular season. Because it kind of ended slowly. I'm like, don't take this for granted. You're all bent out of shape that the Eagles didn't crush the Giants in Week 18. Like, who cares? They got the 1 seed. This is like they literally set the franchise.
Even if they lose this game, dude, like who cares? You have found a franchise quarter. I know it's so hard because like you're there and you want it, and it's like, well, we're right here, right? Let's get through it or whatever. But it's like
more than one thing can be true. You can appreciate the season as a special season. Absolutely. I get that. That's why I said that before the playoffs started. So we could establish that, as you like to say, the baseline before, we get emotionally compromised. I said, take a moment, especially because you have the bye week, like bottle this up for a second and appreciate how special of a season what this was. And what happens in the playoffs is going to happen. Obviously you don't want to see them lose, but if they do, you have to at least be able to like say, yes, this was a very successful season in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean they're going to be great again next year. Because again, NFL is volatile, things change, but like you're allowed to appreciate it.
we'll talk about this more. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but like, and the Cowboys proved to be an exception, but there will likely be regression, right? Like there will be like sack regression for the Eagles next year, right? Like in all likelihood, there will be regression for like Hassan Reddick or AJ Brown. Not that they'll suck, but
the first team in NFL history to have 4 double-digit sacks players in 2 seasons.
That's what I'm saying. Like those, like, so you're right. Like you can identify it as precious, but like my point is like, don't throw it away if it isn't like the best thing ever, you know? So both, like you're saying, multiple things can be true. I think that's
kind of thing with the championship. Right. It's like only one team can win the championship. So you can't always just base off of, did we win a championship?
Right.
Then
31 teams
then
consider
all
the season
failed.
a failure. Yeah.
Right.
See, like, I do think you can call the Bills season a failure because they didn't win the title. Like the Bills were the team who truly went all in, right? Like they signed Von Miller, like that was their thing. And like the world acted. I said this, you mentioned it on the NFL show. I thought the Bills and Eagles both kind of operated throughout the regular season early on like it was their title, right? Like how dare you entertain the idea that somebody else could win the Super Bowl? I think the Eagles, I wouldn't call it got humbled, but like the Eagles were kind of like forced to get humbled throughout the Jalen Hurts injury, right? Like to kind of realize
it up more.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well.
Like that helped like kind of recalibrate the mentality, I think, for the Eagles versus the Bills. The Bills, I think, were like, what? The Bengals are going to come and beat what? That's impossible. What? In the snow? In what? Like it really pains me as somebody who has supported the Bills. Like I'm just, it's a tough scene for them. But like, so to get to the Cowboys now, that Cowboys are not in the title game. The Cowboys held us back from having a Cowboys-Eagles title game. There's a lot of like, oh, thank goodness we didn't lose to the Eagles. No, they lost. It's sad. It's embarrassing. Like, quit trying to gloss it up. But not that the but is the proverbial but like it's been a few days at this point. They lost Dak for 5 games. And I do think, I'm not saying like, and I've been trying to say this, like, I'm not trying to be like team of destiny. Oh, like the tide is turning. I did find this season to be very impressive for the Cowboys in a lot of senses. Now, it was unimpressive in many others. They made a bed that they were forced to lie in that bit them with Amari Cooper. But like, dude, holy crap, you lost your franchise quarterback for 5 games and won 4 of them. That was something we had never seen from them before. Tyron Smith goes down a week before the regular season starts. You don't really skip a beat at left tackle based off the dude you drafted that everybody made fun of you for. That was kind of a new sort of situation. They managed to maintain themselves on defense. Again, that will probably regress next year, especially if Dan Quinn does leave, and I can update you on some news and notes things. But so like, the standard just wound up being lower for them this season, right? Like they did impress relative to like what I thought they were going to do. I think what you thought they were going to do, they still fell short. They still peed down their leg in the process and were embarrassing in the most Cowboys way possible. It is like Stats talked about, or I don't know, I think you talked about the weird things that have to happen. Somehow, some way, they always line themselves up to not just be on the wrong end of the weird things that have to go your way, but to have them blow up in their face. You know what I mean? Like and I know people get their jokes off, but they find a way to do this in the most humiliating way possible every single time they get here.
Cope. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to make you mad. I mean, yeah, imagine listening back to the post week 1 podcast of the mixtape here. Like go back and listen to that. And I'm sure, that was obviously just you as one person, but I'm sure you're reflecting the sentiments of many others out there who felt a similar kind of way.
It was grim. Like that game justified all of the criticisms that I know I had, but like that a lot of people shared as well.
So, but that's where you put things in perspective. You're like, yes, okay. It is surprising in a lot of ways that they did these good things. It's also frustrating that it ended like it did again. That's the point of like critical thinking, right? And analysis, and why we do. And like it's not just like one note. This thing, only this thing. That's the point.
Yeah, it's not the box score and the standings. To like you say that all the time about power rankings, and that's where like
it's dumb.
That's where like again like and I mean this, like go off with the Dak jokes and the McCarthy jokes. Like they deserve them. They earned them, right? But like the presentation of the idea that like, oh, they're stuck, they're stupid, like it's never gonna happen. Like again, I'm not saying like oh, it's like inevitably going to happen, but like they have turned a corner. It's a sad corner that they have to turn. But like,
this is where we're disagreeing, kind of. But
I'm just saying, like, it is market improvement. Like they were a playoff team. They won double-digit games. Like those are lame, benchmarks to clear. But that they did them in consecutive years, like that had not happened in throughout the entire drought. Like, and that doesn't mean that the drought is gonna end. But I mean, it is improvement in a way that we have not seen with this franchise since they won the Super Bowl 27 years ago.
All right. You want to talk about the Giants?
I think we as a society are lacking some critical thinking when it comes to the Giants. Like similarly to the Cowboys, like the Giants ran into maybe the team that's going to win the Super Bowl. And I mean, like ran into them. Like this was not close. I thought the Cowboys win over the Bucs was the most sound win of the wild card round. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I think this was the most sound win of the playoffs so far. Like I would say second place might be the Bengals win over the Bills, honestly, though.
Yeah.
But like this was just a demolition. I mean, like where was anything positive? Nothing. And you talked about the Zeke play at the end where he lined up at center and everybody made a big deal about it. I know I tweeted about the Brian Daboll punt. I do kind of think like that has become the face for this when that like really was kind of inconsequential at the end of the day.
But it's the process, you know. It's not.
I agree.
The result.
I agree.
It's not like you change the outcome of the game.
Right.
It's just like it got down to 8 points. The line got up to 8 points. They're 8-point underdogs. You're trailing like in this season. That's how kind of house money-ish anyway. Like, what are you doing? Why are you not going for it here? Would not have changed the outcome of the game, likely, but give yourself a chance. Giants didn't do that. I know. Here's the thing. The interesting thing about the Giants, and this is not just me saying this, now. I said this leading up to the playoffs and was thinking, if they collapse, you can't. I know Ed Valentine from Big Blue View has said the season is a success already. And like, I get that from a standpoint of it's way better than what a lot of people thought. You're for a team that was the worst team in the NFL since 2017 to win a playoff game on the road. That's absolutely a positive step. I will say progress is not always linear. It does not mean that the Giants are just going to definitely take this big leap next year and be right in the mix for the division lead, especially when the Cowboys and Eagles on paper at least are still looking very threatening and the Commanders are there. But I mean, I'm saying they're not going to, I think the Commanders aren't necessarily going to be like, the Texans. They're still a team that you didn't even beat twice this year. You tied them once. And the other thing is like, there's some potential turnover there. You might lose.
Well, there's regression that's likely coming too, right? Like there's all those
Daniel
things.
Jones, he turned the ball over. He threw fewer interceptions than any other quarterback this year. Like, is that going to happen again after he was really turnover prone in the past? So I just think the Giants are at an interesting point because I think there's a path where I think there's a fork in the road now where they can take the path where they make these savvy moves. They kind of did what the Eagles did this past offseason. They load up their roster. They get it right. Joe Shane makes a lot of great moves, and they do take that step next year. There's also a path where it's like, maybe you're smelling yourselves a little bit too much. Oh, we're going to extend Daniel Jones. We're going to bring back Saquon. You kind of almost like run it back, and maybe you make some bad moves in free agency, and then you're kind of racing out to the middle as opposed to actually making real meaningful progress.
I loved this line about the Bills. I don't mean to keep bringing them up, but obviously, a lot of podcasts have talked about the divisional games. It was from Mark Sessler on the Around the NFL podcast, and obviously they're amazing, and Mark is amazing. But in talking about the Bills, he said, and I kind of touched on this in my own words on the NFL show, but he said they've lost their innocence. And I really liked that line, like, because I think it's really hard to go, and this isn't the case for the Eagles because like they're a big market and like super rich in NFL history, but like it's hard to go from being like a small market team to then having these big expectations and then failing, right? Like, because then it's like, well, now everybody wants to come for you, right? Like now everybody wants a piece of the mockery, right? Like, and we're kind of seeing like it's starting to happen with the Bills a little bit. Like people are really coming for them a little bit. And the Chiefs went through that, right? Like the early parts of last season, and they survived, right? Because they're the Chiefs. I don't know if the Bills can. And so the Giants kind of became obviously not small market and obviously huge NFL history, but like they kind of became like, the plucky underdog, like the runt of the litter. You know what I mean? So like next year is going to be the year where it's like, okay, now we have legitimate expectations for you. So like what's going to happen if you don't meet them? If you fall short, can you handle the blowback? Like I think the Cowboys are, I wouldn't say good, but I think the Cowboys are equipped to handle the blowback because of the nature of them being the Cowboys, right? Like that's just kind of who they are. The Eagles are certainly used to it. Like we hate everybody. We throw batteries at Santa, blah, blah, blah. But like now in terms of like the Twitter era, maybe is the best way to put this. For the first time in the Twitter era, the Giants are going to be expected to do something. So what happens if they don't? How are they going to react? I'm very interested to see that, if that winds up being the case.
Also, like, I thought Daniel Jones did a lot of good things this year. But who was really scared of Daniel Jones still? And maybe getting a wide receiver will make worlds of a difference. We've seen that happen this past offseason. Getting that, if they can get a stud, and I wouldn't put it past Joe Shane to be able to do that somehow, whether that's a trade or I'm looking at the free agent options here. And unless
They're
I'm
not
like,
great.
I was like, unless I'm missing someone, like this list is.
The name that I think we'll hear because of the like buzz would be Lamar, right? Like, and if they get Lamar, then I know you're not a Lamar guy, but like that would be interesting. Like you were the one who brought this up.
I'm talking about. I said wide receivers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was like, wait,
it's still not great. I mean,
they're gonna stick with Jones. I mean,
right.
I'm pretty confident in that.
I don't mean Lamar as a receiver, just to recycle an old draft take.
That would be crazy.
But see, like I don't know. I mean, I'm very interested. I think however you felt about Jones and Barkley before Saturday, like don't let that game, don't be the person that's like, well, no, they can't pay Jones, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that is stupid.
But it does, I don't think it changes anything. Yes, agree. But also does kind of be like, well, at least from my side of it, again, it's like, I'm not really scared of the Giants re-signing Daniel Jones. Again, I think he had a nice year. I think he's a nice player, but it's like, I don't know what you're going to really win with nice. And also, you still have a lot of work to do. So again, I think I'm not trying to say it wasn't a successful Giants season. I agree that it was. I'm just saying, I think you're saying this too, it is not just guaranteed that you take the next step in the positive direction.
Look at the Bills. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing is guaranteed. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that knowing that 75% of the title teams are the same as they were a year ago. You know what I mean? But like nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Okay, a few quick Cowboys notes, and then we'll pick the title games. I know you're going to pick the Eagles game a million times, but just for the purposes of the audience understanding, it is now the offseason.
You ignored the Commanders.
I mean, okay. Obviously, the season's over. Cowboys hold the 26th overall pick. Would have been 27th. Do not forget, people. I know you remind people all the time. The Dolphins are forfeiting their first-round draft pick. So Dallas was slotted 27th. We'll pick 26th. It's going to be an expensive offseason potentially for the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, both eligible for new deals. And they told us when they made the moves that they did last year that they were preparing to pay them. And then obviously next offseason, Micah Parsons will be eligible. And so they've got to, save parts of the pie. I did think this was super interesting. Did a video on our YouTube channel. Not even 24 hours after the Cowboys season was over, it was reported by the Dallas Morning News that Zeke Elliott is open to a pay cut to stay with the Cowboys. This is the first year, in case anybody doesn't know, where there is no guaranteed money left on Zeke Elliott's deal, or deals, I guess, if you include his rookie contract. So it's the first time they can get out of it. They make him a post-June 1st cut. I'm rounding here. They can save $6 million and kick $6 down the road to next year. So we have been talking about forever at BTB. 2023 is the offseason to kind of figure out your backfield. And before, it was just a question of, are you going to let Zeke or cut Zeke, and you're going to re-sign Tony Pollard? The Pollard thing became a little bit clouded. He suffered a fractured left fibula in the loss, and we obviously touched on that. That, as unfortunate as it is, will obviously impact his earning power. So what are the Cowboys going to do? Are they going to bring back Pollard? It's expected to kind of take him out till about, I don't know, the middle of the summer maybe, who knows, or maybe a little bit earlier. Are they going to agree to the restructured contract with Zeke? I mean, that would be interesting to say the least. Or are they going to move on from both? Or, I mean, I don't know. I think most fans want to see them move on from Zeke. They're grateful for the good times. It's just time to move on. If you want to bring Pollard back, there's certainly an argument to do that. Maybe you tag him. If you want to restart, hey, it's the running back position. Don't devote serious resources to it.
Yeah, my guess, if it's worth anything to you, I think they're going to tag Pollard, and I think they're going to restructure Zeke, because as you've talked about it over the years, like they love him. They're absolutely not going to cut him, and I think it's frustrating, or should be from a Cowboys perspective, because you just need to. It's not about the money; it's about like getting him off the team. Because if you have him there, even on like a cheaper salary, you're still going to use him. And he's becoming less effective each year. So you're just going to waste those touches on him. So, yeah, I think from my standpoint, I'm rooting for Zeke to be back.
I mean, the Dallas Morning News article had all this stuff about how his locker room presence and his leadership. And I'm not saying there's zero value to that, but like, I mean, to the point at hand, Tony Pollard missed an entire half of a game where your season was on the line. And I hate painting it like this, but the $90 million running back couldn't carry you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's kind of a problem. Last sort of note on this, Dan Quinn, I feel, this is my own personal guess and hunch, I feel more strong than I did at any point last offseason that he's going to get a job. Like, he's interviewing, I think, for the second time with the Cardinals and the Colts. So things are really heating up in that sense. So he could be out. So we'll see. Obviously, you, the listener, might be listening to this after we know something. We have not seen. Is it me, or is like, have we normally gotten a head coach domino by this point?
I think Sean Payton's holding everything up.
Nah, I'm all out on that. But if he doesn't take a job, I know, I agree with you. If he doesn't take a job, I'm gonna have to deal with this all for another year. That's gonna suck so much. So.
Last thing I have on the Commanders really quick is that the only thing, I don't know if I articulated this effectively as I wanted to last week when I think I was talking about their offensive coordinator situation. Like they're not going to be able to hire anyone because it's not a good job, because you have this like looming ownership sale. You have the fact that Ron Rivera, could be kind of a lame duck. Like no one's going to want to go to that job. That's what happened with Matt Rule. No one wanted to go to the Panthers. Right. It's not a good job. If you're a worthwhile candidate, generally you have options, and you're not going to pick that option. So, and just looking at these early names I've seen for their coordinators, and they also lost Chris Harris too, who a lot of people thought was going to be or it might be a nice defensive coordinator someday. So like they're even losing some people. So I just think Washington is in like this holding pattern right now, really, until the ownership sale goes through. And there's talk that Bezos, might be involved or whatever, but we'll see.
The Bengals and Eagles are both 2.5-point favorites as of this moment. It's about 3 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday, January 24th, according to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, the difference between the two is that the Bengals are on the road. And again, a difference too, they're playing Patrick Mahomes with a high ankle sprain, which obviously has a lot to do with the line. I think that we're both picking the Bengals and laying the points.
Yeah, give me Bengals money line, baby. Yeah, I think they're gonna. I don't know how you can bet against Burrow. Like I know, dude, he's a killer. Like I said prior. So my ideal path to the playoffs, path to the Eagles winning a Super Bowl, if I can pick the teams they all beat along the way.
Oh, I saw a comment last week. Sorry, just along those lines, because I think this is funny. When you wrote Saturday night, who would you rather face in the NFC Championship Game post at BGN? I saw one comment was like, I would rather play the Cowboys. I would rather lose to the Niners. You know what I mean? Sure. It's like it's the proverbial I don't want to lose to that team. But go ahead.
Yeah, which is a loser mentality. Come on, can't be that. Anyway, so it would be beat the Giants. Because knock a division rival out, beat the Cowboys, knock another division rival out,
right?
And then a lot of people would say the Chiefs because they're the big bad Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. To me, it was Burrow because I think Burrow is the most terrifying play, and I know the Rams just beat him in the Super Bowl, so maybe that kind of takes some of the juice out of it. But again, also Burrow is literally 3-0 against Mahomes, so if you're scared of Mahomes, this is the guy who beats him regularly and hasn't lost to him, so that terrifies me in part. It's not the only factor, but I just think when you watch him, it's similar to how I feel about Hurts, just in terms of I trust they're not going to do anything wrong. They're not going to make that mistake. They're just going to go out there and they're going to crush you and kill you, and it's going to be demoralizing. And I'm glad Hurts is on the Eagles side, but Burrow, I enjoy rooting for him, so I'm glad he's not despisable, at least to me, because I think he's cool, and I'm cool with rooting for him until it comes to the point where it's going up against Jonathan Gannon. That makes me very nervous. But yeah, I'm gonna take Burrow. It's not even. I would honestly take him if Mahomes is healthy. That's not the biggest thing to me. Yeah, I just think if he loses, okay, great. Then I'm dumb for doubting the Chiefs, but I would feel dumber at this point for doubting Burrow.
I agree. I don't know any way to properly contextualize how good and awesome Joe Burrow is, other than to say he has made the Bengals cool. You know what I mean? I like all of our lives, right? The Bengals have just been an afterthought. And it's just with the Bengals.
Joke.
Yeah, but did you ever even think of them when you were I don't know, if you ever had a mini helmet collection where you were oh, the Bengals, they're cool. No, the Bengals were a lame. You know what I mean? But he makes them cool. I didn't even know this. Maybe I've missed this for the last year. Did you know that they call the Bengals call it's actually not Arrowhead, GEHA Field, excuse me. They call it Burrowhead. It's that's so cool.
No, but they deserved they can do that. They're allowed to do that. I mean, that's people treat Mahomes like he's won 5 Super Bowls. I feel like we can say that. It's just true. He's won 1. He gets for some reason we act like he's won 5. Not to say he's bad. He's obviously incredible.
He is
and he might win 5.
He is otherworldly talented, but he does I actually was baking this theory over the weekend before the Cowboys played. I'm curious if you agree, because people will be oh, Chris Collinsworth fawns over Joe Burrow, Tony Romo fawns over Joe. I'm not saying that those things aren't true, but I was thinking why do announcers do this? And my theory is that they want their call of it. They believe Burrow's going to have the NFL films treatment well beyond retirement. You know what I'm saying? So they want the line
deep stuff here.
They will tell me you don't agree. They want the line to live forever. You know what I'm saying? The line of fawning over him. They're just playing the odds in that way. That's what I think.
I mean, I don't disagree or agree. I don't really have a strong opinion on that specific thing either way. But yeah, Burrow's a killer, and yeah, he terrifies me. I don't like to bet against him.
I will say, and this is just
Oh,
objective.
sorry. One last thing I wanted to say. I said that about McVay last year in terms of like if he wins the Super Bowl, everyone's gonna act like he won like 10 Super Bowls because it's him.
It's stupid because like we both agree that Mahomes is more talented than like from a physical standpoint than Burrow. Like Burrow might be a better quarterback.
Yes.
Right, like Burrow might be a better quarterback, but like Mahomes is clearly more talented. Like those are different things. But like this is a very big sliding doors game. You know what I mean? Like if the Bengals win, it will be like Burrow's 4-0, 2-0 in title games. And I mean like and then if they did win the Super Bowl, whether against the Eagles or Niners, it would be well they both have one, they've both lost one, and Burrow's won all the head-to-heads. He is clearly the king of the AFC, whatever. So
I agree.
I think I speak for you that if it can't be the Eagles, you want that path the most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm rooting if the Eagles lose to the 49ers, I would be happy for stats specifically. More so. Not really like the 49ers fans as a whole, like stats specifically because of, the situation. But if I'm like looking at it from if I'm taking that part out of it and I'm looking at who I want to win, I'm probably going to root for the AFC team. And I like Burrow. I just love Burrow. He's like, he's one of my, he's my new Russ. I'm going to say it. Russ, you've been dethroned. Russ was my favorite player.
I'm fine with that.
For a long time. Burrow is.
I'm not going to do
my new favorite.
I'm not going to do a Burrow impersonation. You know what I mean? Like,
and to be clear, I believed in him. And I think you know this before the playoff run last year. I was like, I was picking the Bengals every single week. I'm like, dude, he is legit. He's not to say I discovered him, but like, I was definitely like on him before the playoff run last year. I'm not saying
very brave, Brandon, to believe in the number one overall pick who won the Heisman Trophy.
I'm not a bandwagon.
Who was the quarterback for one of the most dominant teams in college football history. Very brave of you.
Look, everyone can't be as smart and as handsome and as charming and as talented and as successful. And everything.
Burrow's last loss in college was to Texas A&M University. The 7 overtime game. That was his last loss in college.
Did you know that Hurts beat Purdy in college?
Oh,
did you see that?
I hate this so much.
Did you know the Eagles and Steelers used to be one team? What's your pick? We didn't make our NFC pick. We spent like 20 minutes.
I really am picking the Niners. I mean, like, but like, I do think I'm with you. Like, I think it's going to be a dogfight, like super close.
What's the score?
Whatever. 31-29.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm fine. Like, oh man, I didn't pick the Eagles, but like, this is not a doubt. But it's like, okay, so the Eagles 2 wins since the Hurts injury, or both the Giants, right? I'm asking, not like pointedly asking, right? Those are their only 2 wins. So like, I am like genuinely interested. Like, okay, like. And like I have no qualms admitting the Eagles are a great team, one of the best teams in the NFL this year. Obviously, you slay the Niners, you 38-7 them. Like, okay, like bring it. But I will say, Bengals Eagles would be one of the most gross looking Super Bowl matchups, like aesthetically. You know what I mean? Like the colors don't blend well. You know what I mean? Like I did not like Bengals Rams. It was gross to look at. So yeah,
they wouldn't do this. But what if the Eagles were their all blacks and the Bengals were their all whites? I think that's probably the best way to salvage it.
Yeah, but you agree that if the Eagles are wearing any kind of green, it's going to look gross. Like green against orange is just not,
I think the Eagles are the home team. I think the NFC is the home team, if I'm not mistaken.
This is the NFC's year to be the home team, yes.
Yeah, so they would probably go, I'm guessing they would go green and white.
Green tops, white bottoms.
Yeah, interestingly, when the Patriots were the home team, in the Eagles Super Bowl, and they picked their road uniforms, which is a very bad move because the Eagles were like really good and undefeated in those.
I actually remember. So like, white jerseys have won. I don't know what it is. At this point, but
they were like undefeated.
Like 16
they were going
of 9,
like that.
But it's been like 16 of 19, and I actually think the last 3. Somebody can fact check me this, but of the last 3 colored jerseys to win was the Chiefs in 19 in their reds. But the 2 before that were both green, were the Eagles and the Packers when McCarthy won it with Rodgers. They wore their greens for that Super Bowl.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Did they? I think they did. Yeah, they did.
Do you think what's the best matchup? Do you think?
I mean, I don't want the Eagles in there. Like I want to enjoy it.
I'm saying like the best game, the best game, regardless of rooting interest. What is the most entertaining possible game?
I hate to be chalk, but like any combination at this point would be very, very good. Like the
Okay,
best.
but give me one. The best, yeah. Is it Eagles?
The best is probably Eagles Chiefs, and you get the like MVP versus the player it kind of belonged to. You get the Andy Reid stuff. You get the Kelsey Bowl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you get all the stuff associated with it. You get AJ Brown, you know, couldn't beat the Chiefs with the Titans. You know what I mean? Now gets to do it, whatever, with the Eagles in the title game in 19. That's what I'm talking about. That when now he's on the Eagles, obviously. So that was not a slight by any means. You get you get the like kind of mini Doug Peterson Bowl, right? Like the crossover that happened, whatever. I'm trying to think of other Eagles Chiefs.
We can get to Sirianni. That's my final thought. My final thought is I've actually, because you were getting hurt by him during the game. Yeah, I
am not alone in this, to be very clear.
I know.
Okay,
it's very apparent that like Giants fans, especially all these NFC Cowboys fans, are like,
no. It is NFL observers. It is
even
not, don't bottle it up to like be fair about this.
Even better. I don't care. Like, honestly, I reached a point where I was like defending against it, and I was like, wait a minute, no, I'm gonna embrace this. I like this. I like that everyone can't stand him now. It's great. I love it. It's awesome. I love it. Everyone's so mad. I love it. It's great.
I wouldn't say that privately to me I wouldn't say that you were not fond of the Michael Jordan line, but I will say that you were not like, this is the most incredible thing ever to say. You know what I mean? So,
because I think like it's going to get taken out of context. People are going to think he said Jalen Hurts is Michael Jordan of the NFL. It's not what he said. He was specifically talking about like the composure and calm and confidence, which is a big point of why I'm not really like concerned in this matchup, because I believe in that. I believe there's something to that. Like the team just looks super composed and they look like, oh, nothing's going to go wrong. We're okay. We're going to be okay. We don't need to panic. And I think there is something to that about Hurts. I think a lot of players work hard in the NFL, and it's tough to be like, this guy works so hard. I think Hurts is like in that 99 percentile of like just like obsessive, like just like nuts crazy. And Sirianni's kind of like that way in a different way in terms of just being a nutso guy on the sideline.
Let me land this plane for you. And I think what I'm going to say, it's intended to be nice. Sirianni has, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, Sirianni almost on his own has made it to be one of the more satisfying sports experiences if you are like a Philly fanatic. You know, I know that's a thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like if you like live and bleed and die Philly, like, and you're Philly culture, you know what I mean? You're like, they hate us, we don't care, blah, blah, blah. If that's your MO, Sirianni has like given you like, it is soaking wet in Philly.
Oh, it fits you know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's what like you can argue that's like, and I think that is people's argument that it is like artificial and like not authentic, like whatever.
No, it is authentic. That is who he is.
Hang on, but if it happens, even if it is artificial, if it happens, you don't care, right? Like if it happens, sure, all you will ever care about is the gif of him like what like eyes like head bobbing. You know what I'm saying? Like all that crap lives forever if you win, but if you don't, like if they lose to the Niners and and like, because all these things are possible, then it all comes back. You know what I'm saying? So like,
well, I don't think people here will care about that a ton, but yeah,
they won't. But it becomes Russell Wilson-y in that like you craft this world for everyone to deal with, right? Like now you've crafted the like Jordan thing for Jalen to deal with, and again you win, and there's a good chance they're going to win, right? They're favored to win. Like if you win, nobody cares, and it's all crap you can flex on because you won. So, yeah. All right.
What's your final thought?
My final thought.
Yeah.
I cannot believe the hubbub that was made about the Cowboys tweet. That was a really weird thing.
I think people don't understand the context that the Cowboys website has more creative freedom than almost literally any other team website. I think people are used to their own team's websites, like the Eagles, just for example, where it's basically, just like go team propaganda. Let me be clear, because I know Eagles website. I think they work hard. I think they do a really good job. It's not them. It's just like they're very much put on a constraint of what they can and can't say. And I think the Cowboys, to their credit, I give the Cowboys credit for that. I think that's awesome that they actually allow you, like the writers, to kind of keep it real. Although I also get how it is kind of funny for the people who don't realize that it looks like this like weird cell phone. They're just like ripping the quarterback. I
think it's just like a symptom of like how, I don't mean to be like how sports are like my TED talk, but like, we like, when you lose, like you open the door for this, you know what I mean? Like it's like the Jordan Sirianni stuff, you know what I mean? Like when you win, although even if people think it's corny or goofy or lame, whatever, when you win, it's all cool. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But when you lose, it's all dumb and stupid. Like those are just the rules. Okay. I told you before Giants Eagles in our group text that I had made a frozen pizza. It was not that good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just wasn't that great. So my question to you as we leave is, what is something you will make and eat before next week's mixtape? Not something you will buy or eat out at a restaurant, something
Like
you will make in your home. Yeah.
Man, I wish you asked me this last week. I made some good. I could just lie, I guess. Not at this point. I could have just lied. I made these really good chorizo quesadillas.
Oh,
from
hell yeah. That's the
Blue
best thing you've
Apron.
ever said on the mixtape. Okay.
I mean, they were awesome.
Not an
Man,
ad. Just
yeah,
talking.
just
Right.
my friend Matt works at Blue Apron. He got me a free box like a couple months ago, and I'm only doing it like once a month. I don't do it all the time. It's kind of
okay.
just
Something you're gonna make this week.
well, I'm buying time to think of what I'm gonna make.
You could have gone like toast. You know what I mean? You could have given us just a literally correct answer.
I'm not gonna make toast though. That's the thing. I do have a lasagna that I'm de-thawing. Does that count? I have a frozen lasagna that how you get like the free turkey with the grocery store points or like every year. So my mom gets the free lasagna always. She doesn't eat meat, and she'll just keep it in the freezer. It's kind of like an emergency lasagna, like if there's a snowstorm or don't feel like cooking, whatever. It's just in the freezer. So my mom gave me the one she got from the year before because she has a new one now. So I have the leftover lasagna that I am currently de-thawing because you have to de-thaw it apparently for 48 hours
before you bake it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bake it later this week. I'm gonna have that lasagna. It'll probably be like 2 meals because it's like a family serving.
Excellent. Okay, let's get out of here. Brandon, give us 4 words.
Eagles gonna win Sunday.